Now, look, the only one of the disciples you remember was the one that was a person in history for sure. The rest were all part of the story, but Paul was not. Paul was a Gnostic. Marcion was impressed. The story was written. And whose blueprint is taken as the foundation of the church? Peter? No. Paul. Because Paul's teaching is in the canon. There's no teaching really of Peter in the canon. There's odd things about Peter, but it's not even clear Peter truly existed. He was part of the story, along with Jesus and the rest. So I think it's not that Paul is the cause, but he epitomizes the essence of the Gnosticism that wrote the Jesus story, and it's the Jesus story that has survived in a form of Pauline teaching structure that was structured by the fundamentalist, literalist church. I suppose it would be more accurate to say literalist than fundamentalist, because fundamentalism suggests some authenticity, and the only authenticity of the Christian religion was the Gnosticism of Paul, not the structuring teaching of the church, theology and so forth. Theology is a rigor-mortised. Yeah, well, anyway, a rigor-mortised particular view, particular theology that's adopted by a religion and lauded as with a primacy over all other views, and indeed typically anathematizes all other Gnostic views. I mean, you can't say that Christianity is devoid of Gnosticism. I mean, you've got Jesus talking to Nicodemus, and Nicodemus is clear he doesn't mean literally born again. You might think that the very name, the very essence of Jesus' ministry, that God is Father, is a Gnostic statement, certainly not a physical, in the sense of the way physical children come about, marriage and sex and so on. We're not suggesting that, are we? You have to be Gnostic to believe Christianity. It's just that you've gone for one particular stylized, elevated, particular interpretation as the be-all and end-all, and utterly intolerant of anything else. That's how you build unity and structure and organization and take a culture. Whereas the Gnostic Christian church was unorganized and in no way able to withstand such a organized force as Constantinian Roman Christianity developed. And as we've said, the Gnostics were mercilessly exterminated and obliterated from the history books as a simply heretical cult rather than the very foundation of the church that Rome had fashioned to the emperor's purpose of empire and his role in it as emperor. Full stop. I can't emphasize enough then that the significance of Paul as regards what is taken now to be Christianity including, of course, the way Paul has been interpreted and adapted and added to, and possibly changed too, to suit organised religion, the organising of religion in the emperor's interest of running an empire. But at root, this means that the story still survived in one form or another, not in purity, of course, and because of, ostensibly, an organised body that we call the church existing, even though that church does not follow the story, it follows its own presentation of what we would call Pauline theology and order and values, etc. If you want to change the world, write a story. The organisation will look after itself, but won't follow the story you wrote. That's the trouble. I've not come to start a movement, a mission, a church, a religion, to see God in heaven as your heavenly Dad within you is the essence of what the Jesus story is about. That has remained available both because of and in spite of the Christian religion. Because, in the sense it swears allegiance to and therefore has preserved it, in spite of, in of course its true allegiance being to its own rewrite of Paul. So, I don't want to change what is, as I see, the finest foundation to date, which is to see that God is your heavenly Dad and dwells within you. We're examples of such, if such is our calling. Examples of such who believe this, I mean. And those that have ears to hear will hear, as long as that Jesus story is extant, is available. And it's available far and wide, isn't it? Across the world. And ever being made more available by our modern technology. I don't mean lauded by it, but certainly made available by it. Those that seek will find by the grace and the goodness and the love of our heavenly Dad. Thank you, Dad.